Strap in and be prepared.
You just heard Baby J about 3 minutes give his entire A to Z on what was going on. I didn't interrupt you.
I don't even like I got to everything, honestly.
No, you didn't get to everything.
Interesting guests.
Kelly Graves, Mike Parker, Josh Pate, Melissa Lombardi, Yogi Roth, who said that Justin and I are smart.
Sharp opinions.
I think Dan Lanning's sitting in his office going, you know what, fine, give us the toughest road to win the national championship. That's what it should be.
I think that this team is going to go as far as Malik Murphy takes them. There's a lot to like about this offense if he's who we think he could be.
And some smiles.
Is this thing on?
Is this thing working? No, that's why you got to do this. You got to go.
Hello?
Hello? Testing, testing,
it's like the little
testing.
girl in Nemo where she's tapping on the glass.
Fishy! Fishy, wake up, Fishy!
It's Danny Havel.
We have to be more specific. We have a lot of pickle things going on,
know.
apparently.
Justin Grossweiner.
I've been wrong before, but that's what I think.
Danny and Justin starts now on Fox Sports Eugene and Newport.
Hello, neighbors, and welcome high atop the Delta Tri in the Crystal Palace, the Bigfoot Beverages Studio, broadcasting to all the ships in sea on Fox Sports Newport and Fox Sports Eugene. This is the Danny and Justin radio program. Welcome, friends, to a Friday. Oh, my goodness gracious. Have I missed you? Thanks for allowing us in your homes and let us borrow your ears for the fastest 60 minutes in sports talk. You can catch us live or on the podcast wherever you pod. That's like Podverse, Spotify, Odyssey, Amazon, Apple. I can name them all off like they are just grilled into my brain, but you know what you like to do best. Bring us into your lives. Danny and Justin, just look at us there. Danny and Justin on the Twitter and the Blue Sky. Filling in for Steve Mims, I'm Danny Havel. And right over there is my tag team partner, Justin Grossner. We call him Baby J. What up, boy?
Well, I'm just glad that it gets to be the Danny and Justin program for once this week, at least. Like last week.
I feel like this is a really arcane reference. There's only going to be like, Brad will get this. Some other folks will get this. I feel like Johnny Carson in his later years. Johnny was famous in The Tonight Show in his later years. Like, he would only do like 1 or 2 shows a week. Like, for the last 4 years of him and his incredible run in late night. He would have more often a guest hosting, which ended up being Jay Leno. Before that, it was Joan Rivers. Gary Shandling would do it as well, and he was excellent. You ever watch the Larry Sanders Show?
No, and I think of Larry Sanders, I think of the NBA basketball player who played for the Milwaukee Bucks, the center.
It's probably still circulating around somewhere on either an HBO platform or whatever, because it used to be on HBO. It was Gary Shandling did a comedy, and it was on HBO, so they could swear and all that, about having a talk show called The Larry Sanders Show. And it had Jeffrey Tambor as like the Ed McMahon character. Rip Torn was the Fred DeCorva, who's the producer. And they would like bring in real live stars and act like it was a talk show. It was hilarious.
Okay, sounds
so
fun.
The Larry Sanders Show. There's good viewing for you. How you been, buddy? Nice job holding down the fort.
Thank
we'll
you.
have Goose in here a little bit later. We're going to do our big bets. That's still ongoing. It's a sore subject with me this past week because I was horrible.
By the way, we're in a really interesting spot with that. We'll talk about that in a little bit when we get into the big bets. But no, I've been doing pretty well. It's been an interesting week, obviously, with the Ducks coming off of their victory against Penn State. We haven't had a chance to even talk about that on the air. I think it's kind of, not saying it's old news now, but I don't think we're gonna like sit here and talk about that till we're blue in the face or anything like that. But been fun chatting about that, and then obviously the Beavers. Just I would say it's another huge matchup for the Beavers against Appalachian State.
Season's on. They're off the edge
Is it
of the
Appalachian or Appalachian?
I've always called it Appalachian State because Appalachian Martins. But
I know there's definitely a.
That's one of those tomato things. I guess you would have
unless
to.
You're talking to somebody from there.
So when they say it, they're Appalachia.
Okay.
So I guess that's. I'm not from there, so I mean, ask me how to say Illinois, I can tell you that. But that's a great question. Did we get any input from you? Had the Voice, haven't you?
I have had on The Voice and the sideline reporter. We had a sideline reporter.
Well, did they
Wednesday.
correct Mims? Or
Nobody
you when
was
you
corrected.
Said it?
Nobody was corrected.
Because if I was going to be saying it wrong, I would hope someone would correct me.
Yeah, I would hope so as well. I think here's the thing, though. I probably shotgunned it, where I probably gave both
versions. So they're like, this guy doesn't know how to say it, so I'm not going to correct him.
Exactly.
And other people will be nice, and I'm not going to correct the guy who asked me on their show.
Right. It's really important to me, though. Enunciation and pronunciation is important.
That's because you're good at your job.
Right.
That's
and
why
because of my last name.
And we've had this discussion, Wiener. All right, on the program today, Mustang. Isaac Streeter, our fun scribe from the Portland Tribune, covers all things Beavers. Man, besides the stuff that's going on the field, what a mess off the field with this report from Sportico that a deal made by Oregon State with Blueprint Sports to operate the Damnation site, the NIL site, and how much that Blueprint Sports is taking off the top. I mean, this has been explosive, and now there are reports that there's just a bunch of salespeople running this thing. Nobody's on the tech side, and people can't get at their accounts to change passwords are getting changed.
Or cancel.
They can't get cancellations done, and there's a lot of people flooding away because of the huge cut that Blueprint is taking. And it was not, I would say, not disputed by anyone at Oregon State. In fact, Oregon State has been oddly and weirdly quiet about all of this. So, so everybody's over this story. We're going to talk to Isaac about that. Of course, the flailings that are going on up at Research Stadium and beyond as Trent Bray's, again, we had high hopes here on this radio program that Oregon State was going to turn a corner, especially with that schedule this season. And Malik Murphy coming in, much touted, got a lot of money from the end. There was some money there somewhere in an NIL to pay him, and it has just been in free fall right now. Absolute, and that game that they let slip through their grasp. And I was saying this was all the setups of a trap game, and it ended up being that way. And then they let Houston off the hook. I was watching that game and just despair. That's the only word that could come up in my mind is the fan base has to be in despair.
Well, it was the worst loss by far because you really felt like, and then the other games where you felt like they should have won. The Fresno State game, afterwards you felt like they should have won that one.
Had 2 wins on the roster. You were out of Texas Tech and you were out of the Oregon game.
It just felt like this one you were so close, and the most disappointing thing was it could have been one of those games where you look at it afterwards, and if they win that one, you go, hey, look how much improvement there was. And even after the loss, you could sit there and point at some improvements, but it just kind of falls flat when they end up just basically like shooting themselves in the foot again with this special team stuff. They don't get a field goal off in overtime. It's basically waving the white flag. So, yeah, I mean, it's just kind of a mess.
There's a real danger that Trent Bray is going to lose this locker room. Now, I haven't been in that locker room. I have nothing, no inside knowledge, inside pool, or anything else. I'm just saying there is a danger when a team gets into this point where they're 0-5 staring a matchup, which, again, on paper, they possibly should win. And if they come out of this 0-6, then I would have real concerns, one, for Trent Bray's job, first of all. No matter what Scott Barnes says out in the public, you know that the kettle has been warmed to extra hot for Trent Bray and his staff. There's been a lot of talk about how Trent Bray is loyal to his assistants, and there's been calls for the special teams coach, Jamie Christian's head. I don't like calling for people's jobs. And by the way, you've never heard me say Trent Bray should be fired. I've always said I'm concerned about his job for him. Mm-hmm. I've never said... So anybody, I had somebody said, hey, I heard you the other day say, well, first of all, if they heard me the other day, they weren't listening to me. It was you or Mims. Say that, Trent Bray should be fired. I've never said that. I have never, ever, in my almost 40 years of doing radio, ever have called for somebody to lose their job. Ever.
When in my 3 years, I've never done it either. No, I'm just kidding.
And stay that. I'm serious, because there are people that use these microphones as bully pulpits like they know something more than the people within the program, and I think that's wrong.
No, I agree. I mean, we'll just have to see what happens. It doesn't seem like there's going to be a change. It seems like, from everything we hear, there's still buy-in. I think it's going to be a tough matchup, though, against Appalachian State.
See, now don't get it up in your head. Just pick one or the other and just stay there.
Appalachian State.
Appalachian State. I'll be with you on that. All right,
but it's a tough matchup, and by the way, it's a sellout. So it's going to be a 40,000 person stadium.
Yep.
But I think it's going to be one of those ones that's a little louder than that, just based on the way that it looks and some of the buildings around it. So, I mean, it's going to be a tough environment, tough road environment.
Right.
You just
long road trip, not easy to get to.
No. And when you think about the formula of a season, right, you have the idea of, okay, you want to win almost all of your home games, if not all of them. And then if you go like 50% on the road, you're doing pretty good. You're going to have a solid season.
That's, normally for a formula, that's what works.
This is going to be one of those tough games to play. Like, this isn't like a guarantee by any means. I think it's about 50-50. The spread opened up with the Beavers as a favorite by 1.5. It's actually now 1.5 to App State.
Which, again, to me, if you're on the road or if you're a home team and you're not getting at least a field goal, it's a pick-em game. So to me, the odds makers are still leaning Oregon State, even with that 1.5 point spread. All right, and by the way, the spreads. So who picked the games this week? Was that you or is that Goose?
No, it was Goose.
All right. You know, he picked out of the 5 games, 4 of them are road favorites.
Yeah,
as I was looking at the point spreads. So, of course, we'll have that big bets in the last segment. And your opportunity to hop on the Oregon Man Clinic's hotline at 541-343-5673 to bet against us. And by the way, your odds are pretty good.
They are.
I would say. Very good. Did you announce that I think Coach Mark had a better record than we did last week? So
we had not announced it. So he was 4-1. The only game he got wrong was he picked Georgia, which I did as well.
So by the way, he was texting me, and I was unplugged from it, and he said, "If I go 5-0, do I get a nickname?" I didn't make any promises, by the way.
So close,
but nope.
33-game home winning streak.
What did I go 1-4?
You went 1-4.
Did Goose go 1-4?
Goose went 1-4,
and then you went
3-2.
So now we're tied.
All 11 and 14.
God, we all suck bad.
Listen, it was a great week for me.
You're all smiles at 11 and 14.
Listen, I was 8-12 the previous week, so yeah.
It's just like, come on down here in the mud with me, root around a little bit, because the water's fine.
I was the one that had to wear a banana costume last year. So
I showed somebody the picture of you last year as well. They thought it was hilarious. All right, so we'll have big bets later on. We'll also, Jackson Shellstad, did you see that? Oregon Ducks guard.
Well, and we talked about Wei Lin, who it's official that he's going to be an Oregon Duck.
He was officially announced as a sophomore. You know he's older than Jan Hansen.
Yeah, but I guess I would say that I would take that with a grain of salt. That's what he's listed at on Go Ducks, but I don't really think it's clear how many years of eligibility that he's going to really have. I mean, he's the first Chinese player professionally to sign.
Right, he's played 3 years in the CBA, the Chinese basketballs, for the Nanjing Monkey Kings.
Right. So I think we're going to get a little bit more information about what his actual standing is with his eligibility. But Woody and I were talking about yesterday how great this is in terms of just you're taking back the roster from last year. Now you're adding to it. They already added a couple other Turkish big men, and then you add another guard who can work alongside Shellstad, who I think is more of a scorer than a facilitator. Yeah. And so having another guy, I think, makes a lot of sense. So, unfortunate he gets this injury right now. Right. And it's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks.
They say broken right hand, which is the shooting hand, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, 4 to 6 weeks. So if it's going to happen, let it happen now so he can recover and get himself into the front half of the season.
Yeah, how does this line up with that?
Well, 4 to 6 weeks would put us, we're second week of October, coming up on the second week of October, so it would be right after Thanksgiving if you go all the way to the 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's still, you aren't in conference play yet, first of all.
Still, I think
and secondly, the big matchups are going to be out there. I mean, they're playing, again, in that Players Era thing down in Vegas, which was a huge boost to their strength of schedule and RPI last year after winning that thing. So they got Gonzaga. That's going to be a December game up at the Moda Center. So he should be back for that. But you got to play yourself back, too.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I think that it's one of those things where you can't just, totally dismiss it, because this is opportunity to get chemistry and build I'm not saying you're dismissing it.
No. I was just saying, right. You're making all the right points.
No, I think that he's going to, have to integrate himself with the team and get himself into playing shape. And, I mean, there's things you can do, I think, with a broken hand, running, stuff like that. But it kind of sucks because he's probably their best player coming into this season, depending on what you think between him and Biddle. So he's certainly the most explosive player.
That's 1 and 1A as far as I'm concerned.
Probably. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
It's a big piece for them, so unfortunate.
By the way, if you're not going to go out and watch high school football tonight or be listening to Friday Night Live with Brian and Justin, head on over to Matt Knight Arena. Oregon volleyball team is hosting a pair of matches this weekend, and back-to-back home matches with Ohio State. So volleyball does things a little differently. They'll end up sending somebody on the road, and then they'll play twice in the season back-to-back. So Oregon's entering – pardon me, it's not against Ohio State. Sorry. It's Iowa first, then Ohio State. Back-to-back home matches is what I wanted to say. Oregon enters the Iowa match tonight with a 9-3 record, including 2-0 on the home floor, but they have not yet won in the Big Ten. They're 0-2. They just started the Big Ten season. Wisconsin leads the conference at 3-0. Indiana and Nebraska are both 2-0. Illinois, Minnesota, Purdue, and UCLA are 2-1. Iowa comes into the matchup tonight against Oregon at 1-1. Ohio State's 0-2, just like the Ducks. So somebody's going to come away with their first victory this weekend. So the Oregon Lady Ducks volleyball team, the 8th time all-time meeting between Oregon and Ohio State, that's on Saturday. Tonight it's against Iowa, and they play just for the 3rd time. Oregon women's softball, we'll talk a little bit more about that next week. They open up their fall schedule next Sunday, the 12th. Not this coming Sunday, but the 12th of October with a pair of games out at the Jane. So we'll get you up to date on that. We'll probably have Melissa on next week to talk about that as well. Melissa Lombardi-Nails, the Oregon softball coach. There's joy in Wrigleyville as the Cubs defeat the Padres yesterday 3-1 to win that series, 2 games to 1 the wild card. Now they take on the Brewers, which we're definitely going to talk to Isaac Streeter about that in the segment. But did you hear the hubbub? 2 things. The video of the Padre players literally screaming and pointing at the umpires as they're escorted off the field.
Pointing. It was like aggressively. I mean, you almost saw a fight was about to start.
And I'll just say, and it's well documented, Justin and I are fans of the Chicago Cubs, that was a horrific strike call.
Awful. And it actually looks a little bit worse on the TV side than when they actually put
it on the ABS.
Yeah, when they actually put it on the ABS, it really wasn't that bad. But it
ABS would have called that a ball.
It would have. No, it was a ball. I don't think it was quite as egregious as it initially looked, but it was a bad call. And it did affect the game because it was a 3-2 count, nobody on after the home run to start the inning by Jackson Merrill, and all of a sudden now it's an out instead of a guy in first. The next 2 guys get hit by pitches, so you can't just sit there and go, well, this would have happened and this would have happened.
The would have, could have.
Yeah, but it certainly would have been a big deal for the Padres, and I'm all for the ABS. I'm all for it.
I think we were all in on it. When we talked to Godfather about it, Matt Dompe, during the season, I think we were all in agreement that ABS is a good thing. As long as if you're improving the game, people say, well, I don't want robots running the game. But I'll just tell you, if you get the call right, then why not?
Right. Well, we have challenge systems in every other sport with those kind of calls. And, my biggest thing is, as long as it actually is getting the calls right, because that's what I heard the issue was, that the ABS system wasn't always 100% accurate. And so
it's closer than an umpire.
No, I mean, I think that there's tons of times where it's like, okay, but it would have gotten that one right, and it would have gotten that one right. So why aren't we just using it, even if it gets it 90% right and corrects it 90% of the time?
We're probably a year, or this might accelerate it. This might accelerate ABS at the major league level.
Well, it's going to happen next year.
Oh, that's right. Okay, they already got it.
They already announced it. They announced it, I believe it was a week and a half ago or something like that.
I haven't been.
I know you've been away. So
I've been kind of unplugged a little bit.
Everybody's basically been going like, well, that won't happen in 2026. So it's on the way, and we'll see what happens. We're bringing in the robots.
All right. And then the other thing with the question from one of the San Diego reporters to Manny Machado at his locker about how do you assess the season. And there are people on both sides. I'm just going to say this. If I was sitting in front of a guy that is that, I wouldn't say volatile.
You have to know who you're talking to.
Well, that effusive is, I think, a word I would say. Manny has a big personality, and he is very smart. He has probably off-the-charts baseball IQ from what I've seen. But he did not have a great series, first of all. He won the game for San Diego in Game 2 with that big home run. However, the guy just got his guts ripped out in a game that they thought they should have won. And then you ask him how to assess the season. Honestly, I'm with the player on this one. That would not have been a question I would have wanted to field. Somebody should have stepped in from San Diego really quickly and shut that down. And there are people on both sides now, like Machado was being a jerk to the reporter. The reporter asked a fair question. I'm not sure at that moment, at that time, you say, how do you assess the season when you just got bounced?
Yeah, I understand.
In that manner.
I think it's like a fair question that was probably worded not very well. I think it's like fair to ask, like, hey, like, how do you?
I would have asked it this way. I would have asked this way. Because even though it was, would you have, was this season successful to get you to this point, and how disappointed are you right now that you felt you could have gone further? That would have been a better way to ask that question rather than how do you assess the season? Season's a failure because we're not going on.
And that's what you could say. You could also sit there. But here's the thing. So I agree with you. I think that there probably it's not a question I would have asked personally. But also, I think that there's something to be said about, I don't think Manny handled it super well.
No,
I mean, he got demonstrative a little bit with the guy, and afterwards was going, oh, you wait till the last question. And
come on, dude, you should have asked that.
Yeah, like I think that basically as a professional athlete, and I don't want to compare this too much to the Shador thing, but you have a responsibility to be a professional. And even if you don't like a question, you have a responsibility to handle that in a way that you could have said, it was our goal is to win the World Series. We didn't reach our goals.
I really don't want to answer that right now because I'm too disappointed.
You could look at Alex Bregman had a very similar press conference after the Red Sox lost to the Yankees, and he was asked some questions that clearly he didn't really like, and he just said, I'm not really thinking about that right now. I'm thinking about how we just lost this game.
I think
it's a better way to handle it.
By the way, this was an Emmy award-winning reporter that asked it. It wasn't just some noob that was just in there. This guy's been around the San Diego sports scene quite a while. So it was just an interesting flare out of what happened, and kind of honestly besmirches everything the Padres did really well and how big this win was for the Cubs going against a pitching staff and especially a bullpen that everyone that was a quote-unquote, I'm doing air quotes, expert in baseball said the Padres have a real shot to make the World Series with the way that pen is.
Well, let me just say for the Padres, and I know we're Cub fans, but I honestly think it's almost more interesting that the Padres just constantly are that team that you look at their lineup, you look at their pitching staff, you look at their bullpen, you're like, this team is just like one of the most talented teams. You look at the Dodgers and what they have, and you stack them up with the Padres, and they look on paper like they're right with them. But every single year, they constantly come up short, and it's almost like a cautionary tale of they spend their their top prospect, who's the fourth overall prospect in baseball, get Mason Miller, and Mason Miller's going to be on the team for the next 5 or 6 years, but like they keep on doing this, where they keep on kind of going all in, and then it's just like they don't win. It's like, at what point is this a cautionary tale of like, I don't know if this is what you're supposed to do.
All right, so we're gonna fold this into the next conversation we have. We're gonna take our first break. The Danny and Justin radio program. I'm Danny Havel filling in for Steve Mims, who's going to be back in here in just a little bit. Justin's right over there. We're going to have Isaac Streeter from the Portland Tribune. What a mess going on in Corvallis right now with money. And who was responsible for signing off on this contract with Blueprint? Beaver Nation is up in arms about how NIL is handled. That's not even anything about what's going on the football field. And we'll talk to Isaac about it next on the Danny and Justin radio program for Friday.
We are very excited to be broadcasting to you live.
1050 AM, 102.9 FM, and FoxSportsEugene.com. Broadcasting from the Bigfoot Beverages Studios. You're listening to Danny and Justin on Fox Sports Eugene.
Attention, please. Attention, please.
Have you heard the expression, don't feed the bears? With these guys, keep them focused on local sports. Don't let them talk Cubs or Packers. You're listening to Danny and Justin on Fox Sports Eugene.
I need to talk to Big Voice about not letting us talk about the Cubs and Packers, because we're definitely going to do that on this next segment. Here on the Danny and Justin radio program, yes, kids, I'm back, at least for a day. I won't be here. Well, I might be here on Monday. I'm not sure. That other little
I think we're sure
thing,
you're going to be here on Monday.
Okay. One way or the other, I'll be here on Monday, apparently. Justin knows my schedule better than I do at times. So it's nice to be back in the studio. We'll have big bets coming up in the next segment. Goose will be here as he and I try and recover from a just horrific weekend as we went 1-4. Justin went 3-2, and now he's caught us.
Go Rebels.
And we might have a return to Crispal Island. So let's head on over to the Oregon Man Clinic's hotline. Quick segment. We're going to bring in our good friend from the Portland Tribune. He watches and covers Oregon State and both the baseball teams really well. It's our good friend Mustang Isaac Streeter. Isaac, we're going to start with baseball. You've been dreading this conversation for a couple of months, I'm sure, because now we have our matchup. Cubs. Huh?
All right, I said that we do. Thanks for having me on, boys, by the way. But, we got it. I talked some smack early in the year, and now I'm going to have to put my money where my mouth is when my Brewers find a way to squander this.
Okay, so, wait a second. Now you're becoming pessimistic. We need optimist Isaac right now instead of pessimist Isaac.
I'm never an optimist about my own sports teams. It's my lot in life.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how I was raised. You can blame my father for that. If he's listening, he'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But, just never been a big believer in my own teams.
Yeah, well, Danny says that you say I'm a pessimist, right, Danny?
You're a relative pessimist.
Yeah, I'm relatively
You pick and
pessimistic.
choose your pessimism.
It's a Gen Z thing.
Yeah, well, I'm actually not Gen Z. I'm
don't start
I'm a
getting into all
millennial.
that stuff. You're who you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
anyways, I wanted to say though, isn't it kind of apropos that these two teams? I mean, there's been this battle going all along in the NL Central. The Brewers get on this incredible hot streak and they take the Central from the Cubs. It looked like it was going to be their year, but isn't it kind of right that one of these two teams is going to lose to the other one in the playoffs?
Well, first off, I want to start by battle for the NL Central. My friend.
Oh, see, here it comes. See,
right?
you poked him a little bit now.
How's that wild card treating you, man? You already had to play baseball.
It was
games.
fine. I mean,
Well, that
made it
just
out, okay.
steals the Cubbies up to take on the Brewers now. With Craig Counsell going to try and work a little voodoo magic on his old team.
Sure. Yeah. If we're going to lose to anyone, losing to Craig would be, probably the most poetic thing we could have done.
I don't think it's the best thing, but it is poetic. I agree.
Sure.
All right. Thank you for letting us take a left turn there. And, of course, we will be flying the text back and forth during Game 1 tomorrow, Cubs and the Brewers in the MLB Divisional Series. All right, let's talk about what's going on. Let's start on the field first with Trent Bray and this squad. And I have plenty of concerns, as most Beaver Nation does, and to me, whatever happens tomorrow, if it's a positive, great, then I think, there can be some recovery going on and some healing going on with Trent Bray's squad. But if the Beavers lose this game, and right now it's like a 1.5 spread right now for App State, I think there's
split, by the way.
Yeah.
Oregon State opened as a 1.5 point favorite and is a 3-point swing, which I think is pretty big.
Well, and it's a pick'em game, honestly, because if you're getting less than a field goal at home, it's a pick'em game as far as I'm concerned. That's the way Vegas looks at it as well. But Mustang, what my question is to you, and I don't know if you share my concern on this, is that there is a real concern for me that if the Beavers drop this game in whatever fashion, I don't care if they fight hard and they lose in triple overtime or whatever, they lose this game, I think there's a real concern that Trent Bray starts to lose this locker room.
So I can't speak for the locker room just because we don't have open locker rooms. I'm not around it. I can only talk to the kids we talk to.
Okay.
But, I thought if he was going to lose the locker room, it would have been when you couldn't long snap the ball against Fresno State or when you played with absolutely zero effort defensively at Texas Tech. And
that's fair.
He got them back, and they played better, and they kept it close with Oregon. And it just seems like the resounding thought process here is that, that locker room is going to continue to play for Bray. And, I have concerns about the coaching staff as a whole and how the team is, conducting itself, but at least on the field. But I'm not in the camp of the Bray is on the hot seat. I just don't think they're going to fire him.
Okay, so, and of course, we're never going to call for anyone's job. We've already discussed that in the first segment of the program. But then my second piece of this is that does Trent Bray might fall into, since he was a longtime assistant, this is his first head coaching job, being, unfortunately, too loyal to some of his assistant coaches that he's brought along on this journey with him, where he might need to make a change. Because he did make a change on the defensive side, starting to call the plays, which was a change out over last year. So, and obviously we could talk about special teams and such, but wherever it might land, how do you think that's playing out?
Yeah, I would kind of agree with that. I guess I think it's shocking that Jamie Christian is on this staff for how bad they've been. I don't have the official numbers on it, but the majority, or at least a decent portion of the FBS, doesn't even have a special teams coordinator on staff. They have both a special teams coordinator and a quality control coach on the staff to be the special teams coordinator. So I am shocked that operation is still employed. As for Gunderson and the rest of them, I don't really think that's much of an issue, but truly I am very shocked that Christian is still on the staff.
What do you think about the rest of this season? Obviously, a game against Appalachian State, it's going to be a long trip over there. It's going to be a sold-out crowd. There's going to be a big environment over there. They're going to be ready for that one. And then the schedule, we've talked about this, ad nauseum, how the schedule is going to get easier and how there's still wins on the table. like, do you still think it's possible that you could still get to that 6-win mark and could get to a bowl game? Or, there's so much opportunity on the schedule in terms of on paper potentially, but the way that things are just going, it just doesn't seem like it's going to end up that direction.
Yeah, I think there's a path to 6-6 here. I mean, maybe you drop one of those Washington State games just because it's so hard to play a team twice in a season. But I thought the same thing about them maybe going 8-4 or 10-2 this year. And they're sitting here at 0-5. So I guess what do I know? But I think you can look back at the schedule and say there's very clear points where they could be 2-3. I think the Fresno State game is the worst game of football they played this year. Just operationally, that was horrendous. You got punched in the mouth by Cal with a freshman quarterback that no one expected. You lost to Fresno State because you couldn't get out of your own way. Oregon and Texas Tech are better than you in every way. And then you squandered it against Houston. You killed yourself again. So I guess that's just kind of the way I look at it, where I think there's a path here. Are they going to be capable of getting to it? I'm not sure.
He was hired for his personality, but he writes pretty well as well. Covers Oregon State for the Portland Tribune. He joins us on a fairly regular basis. We call him the Mustang, Isaac Streeter. Follow him on Twitter, Isaac with 2 A's _Streeter. It's a good follow, and we're trying to push him up over. Let's get him up over like 1,000 followers before the end of the weekend. How about that? All right, I'll do a little from the 916 to the 503. What do you scoff and laugh at that, Isaac?
Are you just reading my Twitter bio?
I am.
I like it.
Yeah, I always bring that up. I can't put all those things to memory. Listen, I have a hard time sometimes remembering my siblings' birthdays. Okay, so
I get it.
All right, so last question on the team. And then we're going to talk about this NIL stuff because I don't think you have as many concerns as what's being reported, but on the face of it, it looks just horrific for Oregon State. So how do you think Oregon State plays this weekend against App State? Do they pull this one out?
I think this App State team's pretty bad. I'm going to be honest. I listened to Coach Loggins. I want to make sure I'm saying his name right, but App State's head coach, I listened to them, and it seems like his message very much through this week was that this is a team that is in year one of a head coach that has had past success and is rebuilding. I think it's a rebuild year for them, the same way it is for Oregon State, who's kind of in year two of it. But I expect them to be better than App State. They've had the ball thrown over their head a ton. I'm not sure what their pass rush looks like entirely. That's on me. I don't have those up right now, but I think this is a game where you could kind of see Malik Murphy return to form and maybe build on some of that success they had against in the run game. App State's pretty stout against the run, though. That's a salty defense.
All right, Isaac. So let's turn our attention to the article that Bill Oram put out, the commentary on the article in Sportico, talking about the damnation and the deal that the university made with Blueprint Sports. And the numbers look, on the face of it, it looks one-sided in favor of the person who's raising the money versus the university and the beneficiaries from the university. You've done a little bit of a dive into this. So before we start getting into some particulars, is it as bad as what it initially looked like or had been reported?
I really don't think that it is. I think I'm in the minority on that, so I'm okay with that. But I really don't think that it is. I think this is going to become the new normal in college athletics, is collectives being run this way. And people got to remember, we're in a very different world right now than as a college football ecosystem than we were 12 months ago because of NCAA versus House, and the result of that court case. This is the new way of operating. And I think the agreement with Blueprint Sports is definitely a shock. I think people were pretty surprised by those numbers. My own article that I put out yesterday, I broke down how Sportico got to those numbers. And my conversation with the assistant athletic director or deputy athletic director, Brett Blaylock, we spoke at it at length. And, he kind of gave me the breakdown. And I don't think it's as bad a deal. I don't think it's the, world-ending crisis that Oregon State Twitter seems to believe that it is. So
if they raise $1 million, they basically get 19%, is what I read. Did you confirm that that's what the understanding is?
So this is your friend Isaac talking, just because I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm not entirely sure if it would be 19%, but what I do understand is that the first $750,000 that Blueprint raises, 100% goes to athletes.
Okay.
That is not including any damnation donation or damnation memberships that are purchased through that website. Those go 100% to student athletes. and do not count towards that first $750,000.
Okay.
After they cross the $750,000 threshold, there's a $400,000 range up to $1.15 million where Blueprint makes its money. And that is, they take 75% of that $400 range. So it would be a year one max of $300,000 they can make in bonus money. After they make that money, it rolls to a 50-50 split on anything above 1.15. They're not mutually exclusive, so if you hit the second, they get that 75% even if they hit the second bonus goal. And so then what that is doing is providing incentive for a third-party company that has been hired to make bonus money for itself to profit on. They're receiving a baseline flat rate fee of $280,000 that is mostly used to pay for salaries and their operation on campus. And then any bonus money is theirs to do as they please, where Oregon State would take its cut of that bonus money and reinvest it back into the collective.
And by the way, who you quoted and who you spoke to, Brent Blaylock, who is the deputy athletic director who oversees the NIL, he's had a history with Blueprint. I mean, back in a previous stop, University of Arizona. This company is also a partner with the University of Maryland. So it's not like they don't know what they're doing, apparently. They're signing up several schools and have been along the path of several schools. So on the face of it, it does not look great. But I guess you could also put it in the context of, and I don't want to make it seem like it's the big brother and little brother thing, but with some smaller schools and challenges to try and raise money, they need to try and find as many partners as they can, and this is the one they chose.
Exactly. And one of the big things that I spoke with Blaylock about was why they chose to go external and why they were willing to pay that $280,000 flat rate fee. And it was emphatically clear that because they're spending that money, they're leveraging all of the prior experience and other assets and working relationships that Blueprint has existing with all of those other collectives. So they're on the forefront. They have power representation in that way in terms of voting power. I don't remember the specific on that Blaylock told me, but they do, it would have cost them, if Oregon State wanted to build that out themselves, it would have cost them, above that $280,000.
Yeah.
So this was the best bang for their buck to go external, stay within NCAA regs, and, acquire the services that they needed.
Well, Isaac, you make it clear for us. You make us smarter, and that's why we love having you on the program. So kicking your feet up, you're going to be tweeting from the couch this weekend?
I will. Right now I'm sitting in the Oregon State parking garage. I'm out here to go to a baseball scrimmage. They're playing 2-9s today, so I'm going to go take some photos and watch some Oregon State baseball. And then tomorrow I'll be on the couch watching App State, Oregon State. All
right, that a boy, and we'll have you back on soon again. You can follow him on the Portland Tribune and on Twitter, Isaac Streeter. We call him Mustang. Buddy, have a great weekend as always. Thanks for being part of the program.
Hey, you two boys, and good luck on the bets this weekend.
Oh, believe me, we're gonna be tweeting back, twittering back and forth, and texting back and forth. So keep your phone close.
Will do.
All right, buddy. There he goes, the great Isaac Streeter. He's going to be pulling for his Brewers this weekend. It will be a war. It's going to be a war. I've got like 4 texts all ready to go. You can draft texts.
Text now? I didn't know that. I don't know. I usually just spit it out.
I'm preparing texts for this weekend. When we come back, look, it's Goose. I've said twice already, I'm sitting here filling in for Goose. Steve Mims is going to join us. Big Bets next here on the Danny and Justin radio program. If you want to join in on Big Bets, get ready on the Oregon Man Clinic hotline at 541-343-5673. We're going to pick our games, and we let you pick yours next on the Danny and Justin radio program.
Some of you are wondering, how did these guys get a show? Some of you may ask if Phil Knight was involved. Others may ask if the Reeser family was involved. The answer to both questions is yes. This is Danny and Justin on Fox Sports Eugene.
Turn it up. Let's go.
Use 1050 AM, 102.9 FM, and FoxSportsEugene.com. Other stations can say they cover the Ducks and Beavers, but we bring the receipts. You're listening to Danny and Justin on Fox Sports Eugene.
So next week will be our first week. We'll unveil our Big Ten power rankings. I'm looking at you, Justin, so I'm preparing you for that. So you're ready for next week when we do Big Ten power rankings, okay?
Well, it's going to be a lot of teams right in the middle once again.
That doesn't matter. We take the first 10, and then the other 8 are just like you pick them. We don't care.
No, I know.
I just think that
there's 3 teams at the top, and then there's everyone else.
It's just like last year. And
Exactly.
that's the way it's going to be for a while. All right, it's a favorite segment now on this radio program on Fridays. We started it last year. We continue it now. It's time for Big Bets.
These guys think they know football. The winners.
I'm the winner!
The losers.
You're not that good.
Where to buy the best tailgate food. Let's put their knowledge to the test. It's time for Big Bets.
All right, so if you want to get in on Big Bets, you can call right now, the Oregon Man Clinic's hotline. You're going to have to be on hold for a second because we're going to pick our games first. Well, it's the games we're picking. It's not our games. Everyone's going to pick the same games. But call up the Oregon Man Clinic's hotline at 541-343-5673. We're going to try and get through this faster so we can have more time for phone calls and then have fun debate. Over there is Baby J. I'm pointing to him. See, I faked you out. You thought I was going to. Over there is Baby J, and over to my right is Goose, Steve Mims. Goose, we lost ground last week.
Yeah.
We were bad.
One more of those. I kind of think we just maybe quietly sunset this thing and we never mention Big Bets again and just hope that the listeners haven't forgotten it as well.
So were you – well, okay, that wasn't the games I picked. Who picked the games last week? You did.
It was me.
Did.
Oh, of course.
Great
It was
week.
rigged.
It was a great
You
week.
went 3-2, and we went 1-4. Yeah, now I know how that happened.
You should have been listening to me. I've been saying this for weeks.
Yeah, LSU. I hate LSU. Don't ever put them on the schedule again. All right, so let's do some music or whatever, and then let's pick the game. So what I found interesting is Goose picked the games this week. Goose, did you realize when you did this you were picking 5 road favorites?
I didn't. But
until you started looking
I'm not
at
surprised. Yeah, no, I like throwing that in there, and I just wanted close matchups of teams I've heard of before. I didn't want another Miami of Ohio
that's
or
the
one of
last
those.
dig you get at that last one. Okay, now we're going to move on. All right, first game. Kansas State is at Baylor. Baylor's a 5.5-point road. No, pardon me, a 5.5-point home favorite. The only favorite at home that we're going to get this week in Big Bets. This is a tough one. You like picking Kansas State games when I'm on here
like
because
to
you know
put your
I'm
loyalties
conflicted.
there.
So here's the thing. I picked against Baylor at home against Arizona State. I think I was the only one, and I won that matchup. I'm going with the road team again. I think that Kansas State's figured a couple of things out. I think Chris Kleinman's got Avery Johnson playing well at quarterback. I don't necessarily believe in Baylor yet. I think they're too inconsistent. So I'm going to go with the road upset, Kansas State on the road in Waco, Texas.
That might have been just the result I was trying to walk you into.
The little trap. Oh, your fiendish plan is working.
Give me the Baylor Bears.
Of course.
Ooh, wow. Where do I go
All right,
here?
come on, Baby J.
No, I've been reading about the Kansas State Wildcats. They've been getting healthy. There's some players playing that haven't been playing, so let's go Wildcats.
I think island is going to be the key word in this program today. So
Let's do Miami last, by the way.
Of course we're going to do
We'll do that
Miami
one
last. So Kansas State, Baby J and I, and Mims is on the island with Baylor. All right, Texas at Florida. Texas, Arch Manning goes on the road to the Swamp. Florida's coming off a bad loss to Virginia. So...
No, that was Florida State.
Florida State. I get my Florida schools messed up. So
it's because neither of them are good.
Yeah, but Billy Napier, is he still fighting for his job
still
at Florida? There. Yeah. Okay, so Texas on the road. You start with this one, Goose.
I think the Arch Manning falling apart is going to continue. I think this is Billy Napier's last stand at home. Give me the Gators. You scared me when you said they lost to Virginia. I'm like,
no,
crud, I didn't know that.
Right. I was reading my notes.
This changes everything.
I'm taking the Gators.
Okay, Baby J.
I think that I think Texas is good enough that they're going to hang on. I don't think Arch Manning is very good, but I think Texas is good enough that they're going to win this one. So I'll take Texas.
You're on your island because I'm going with Florida.
Let's go.
I took Texas early on in the season and they hosed me. Once you do that to me, I turn my back to you.
Ohio State. That was the problem.
Doesn't matter. They screwed me. I'm not betting on them again. So I'm going Florida. All right. Washington goes all the way across the country to a sneaky good Maryland team. They've been playing well. They're undefeated. Washington fought against Ohio State last week. They're 5.5-point road favorites. Baby J, you get to pick first.
I think Washington's good. I think DeMond Williams is really good. I think they played a really good team in Ohio State, and they didn't really play too bad. I know that Maryland's been really good this season, but I'm going to take the Dogs.
Okay. I am going with the home team here. I'm not going against Johnny Holiday's team, so I'm taking Maryland.
I was all set to take Maryland, and then as Justin and I were doing the show Wednesday, I started building this case for Washington to be a tough game at the end of Oregon's schedule because they were going to kind of roll through the next few weeks. So if people listen Wednesday, I can't go against what I said Wednesday, so give me the Huskies.
Okay, here we go.
But I wouldn't be surprised. That's why I put it on there. I think Maryland could win.
Okay, so we've got 2 more games left. We're going to start with Duke coming back across the country to take on Cal. Duke's a 2.5-point road favorite. This is a very interesting game as Cal got a big win against Boston College. JKS played well, 28-24. Duke pounded Syracuse 38-3. But with me, it's how quarterback Darren Mensa. I just got to be in Mensa to try and figure this out. 13 touchdowns, 2 picks. This is going to be a battle of the quarterbacks. But Duke goes the way Mensa goes. So if he has an off game, their offense does not go anywhere. They don't have anything else to support it. If he's the pilot. This one's a tough one for you. I kind of like Cal at home. I think Justin Wilcox is going to have that team pride. I think they're going to play better defense. I just don't like Duke all the way across the country. You got to travel all the way across the country. It's a tough thing to do. So I'm going to stay with the Bears.
All right.
The Bears.
It's the smart guy bowl, Duke and Cal, 2 very intelligent ones. I'm worried about, like you say, that long flight. Those Duke guys, they'll be doing their homework on that thing. I'm worried about them getting ready. Give me the Cal Bears and Justin Wilcox.
All right. Is it you going to make it 3 in a row? With everybody picking separate games? Because right now, we're all on separate islands.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I think I'm...
Okay.
I think I'm going to go with Cal.
Okay, so we're all
super confident.
All right, last game.
Duck, but now he handles the Hurricanes of Miami.
How about them Canes? Huh? How about them Canes?
Welcome to Cristobal Island, where the weather is hot, but the recruiting is hotter.
All recruits in-state, out-of-state can now clearly see the trajectory of this program versus the trajectory of the other programs.
This week on Cristobal Island, the Miami Hurricanes traveled to Doak Campbell Stadium to take on the Florida State Seminoles, reeling after their loss last week to Virginia. Who will join Steve Mims on Cristobal Island? Will it be Justin? Will it be Danny? Find out right now, right here on the Danny and Justin radio program.
All right, we got Coach on hold getting ready to make his picks, but we got one last game to do. Miami is not very far on the road. They're going up to take on Florida State, 4.5-point favorite. Justin, you and I are going to pick first, and then we'll let Mims pick last. All right, who do you think?
I'm joining him on the island. I just think they're a better team. I don't know if Miami's like a top 5 team in the country. That being said, I don't think Florida State's that good.
Total points.
I believe less than Florida State. Total points, I'll go with 54.
I'm sorry. I'm not going on the island with you. I can't do it. I think on the road, Mario Cristobal does a Cristobal thing and makes a tactical mistake, and Mike Norvell is going to take advantage of it. This is like the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Mike Norvell will.
Oh, sorry, Mike. Florida State, after that they were the ones that had the devastating loss to Virginia. I think this is a bounce-back game for them at home. They're going to defend the home turf. I'm going the Noles.
Give me Cristobal, although it's not Cristobal Island because it's now a Cristobal party because Justin has joined me on the island. So now it's just a Cristobal party.
By the way, I'm saying
you get Seminole Island, but I'm all in on Mario Cristobal and the Hurricanes this year.
All right, I'm going 58 points, by the way. How many points you going there?
Let's go with a big one. Let's go 62.
All right, I got the under.
Okay, there we go. All right, so let's head on over to the Oregon Man Clinic hotline. We got time just enough for Coach Mark to get his picks in. So, Mark, we're going to run through these. Here we go.
Sir.
You ready? Kansas State at Baylor.
Baylor.
Okay, you joined Steve there. Texas is at Florida.
Give me Florida.
Okay, you're still alone on that game, Baby J.
Gator Island.
Washington's at Maryland.
Give me Maryland.
Okay. Miami. Oh, sorry, you can do that one last. Duke is at Cal.
Give me Cal.
Okay, we're all there on Cal. And then Miami is at Florida State.
Oh, we're partying on Cristobal Island.
There you go. I'm all by myself. Total points, Coach.
52.
All right, 52, 54, 58, 62. All even numbers as well. Thanks, Coach. Thanks for listening, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there he goes. All right, so that's all the time we got for this. All right, so great picks, guys. And we'll find out on Monday. Well, actually, we'll find out before that because I'll be texting you guys as well this weekend what goes on here on Big Bets.
Oh, a joke.
I got fired from the bank today. A woman asked me to check her balance, so I pushed her.
Dad jokes!
There was a detective that was rushed to the ER yesterday. He accidentally poked his private eye.
That's a good one.
Aren't you guys happy I'm back? Come on now. I did see the smile on the faces, the joy in your hearts. Back on Monday as well. I'm going to do a twofer. As I was telling Justin before, I was telling Baby J before, Goose, that I feel like Carson in his last few years. I just kind of
mailing it on in.
Mailing it in. All right, thanks, boys, and everyone else out there for listening. And listen to Friday Night Live tonight with Justin and Brian. Get all the high school updates. And we'll be back on Monday with the program. God bless. Be well. Put a smile on your face. Someone else's. They deserve it. So do you. For the entire crew. Have a great one. Peace.
Don't change that dial. This is John Canzano, and I'm coming up next with the Bald-Faced Truth. The BFT is the state of Oregon's #1 sports talk show. We deliver big guests and strong opinions. Can you handle the truth? If so, join me for the Bald-Faced Truth coming up next on Fox Sports Eugene.
Garage stuffed with boxes, bikes, and holiday decorations? Reclaim your parking spot at Valley River Storage. A 5x5 or 5x10 unit is perfect for patio furniture, camping gear, or all those tubs you only touch once a year. Right now, get your first month free with a 2-month minimum. Open Monday through Saturday, so don't wait. Call 541-484-0100 or valleyriverstorage.com and reserve your unit today. Valley River Storage. Safe, central, and affordable.
We begin tonight with the breaking news.
ABC's David Muir, wherever news breaks.
From here in Tel Aviv, from the Ukraine-Poland border, traveling along Maui's western edge. From southern Madagascar.
ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 newscast.
ABC News, America Strong. It's been a remarkable thing that we have all witnessed together in this country. A lot of joy out there. Just got to find it. This is David Muir, and I hope you'll join us tonight for ABC's World News Tonight.
World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.
From the grit of practice
to the glory of game day, every play matters.
Watch the Friday Night Blitz on KEZI 9 News at 11:15.
Your home for local high school football.
Covering Western Oregon's biggest local rivalries, matchups, and comebacks.
And incredible stories inside every game.
On the field, across Western Oregon. Get more football out of your Fridays with Olivia Cleary and Sports Director Brett Taylor. Catch the Friday Night Blitz only on KEZI 9 News.
All right, son. Time to put out this campfire.
Dad, we learned about this in school.
Oh, did you now? Okay. What's first?
Smokey Bear said to.
First drown it with a bucket of water, then stir it with a shovel.
Wow. You sound just like him.
Then he said.
If it's still warm, then do it again.
Where can I learn all this?
It's all on SmokeyBear.com with other wildfire prevention tips, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions for free. Call now and find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-530-5120. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell everyone listening who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me here. It's always nice to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now. 800-530-5120. You'll find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now. 800-530-5120.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
KORE Springfield, Eugene. I'm Danny.
And I'm Justin.
We talk local sports weekdays at 2 on Fox Sports Eugene.